Hi, we're Maddie and Nico, and we are turning this empty cargo van into this tiny home on wheels. We have no building experience, but we'll take you along each step as we transform our 2020 Ford Transit van.
Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be sewing and making this bench seat cushion, and Maddie will show you how to do everything because this is one of the things I had nothing to do with.
First, cut the cushion to size. I used the electric turkey carving knife that we had used in our mattress video. Next, cut a piece of fabric the size of the cushion plus 1 inch on the long side. I forgot to do that here, but make sure you add an inch to the long side when you trace it out. Then cut another piece with a border that's the same width as the cushion is tall. In my case, that's 3 inches. Be sure to leave an additional inch on one of the long sides as well for the zipper. You can see me going around the cushion and making sure there's 3 inches on each side. On the side with an extra inch, I did draw 2 lines just so there's one line that marks where the cushion goes and there's another line that marks the additional inch left for the zipper. Use a straight edge to mark the edges of the cushion on the fabric. Continue the lines to the edge of your fabric piece. The squares left in these corners get removed. If your cushion is a 3-inch cushion like mine, in the end you'll have 2 3x3 squares to remove and 2 3x4 rectangles to remove from the side that has the extra 1 inch for the zipper allowance. So the first thing I'm going to do today is fix the mistake. The fabric that's the bottom of the cushion, I cut it to the exact same size of the cushion, but I was supposed to leave a 1-inch seam on one of the long sides for the zipper, and I forgot to do that. I left one on the top piece. So I'm just sewing on this piece and it'll have essentially an extra seam, but just on the bottom part. You'll have your bottom piece. This is the good side up. And then your top piece with the good side facing down. So both of your nice sides are facing each other. And you have our 2 pieces with the extra 1 inch of fabric. In my case, the extra inch of fabric that I had to sew on. And the top piece which is cut just fine. And we're gonna sew these together. We're doing a 5/8 inch seam and we will later seam rip that. We're gonna sew these together, sew our zipper on, and then seam rip this seam. I first pinned the 2 pieces together to keep everything in place. Then I sewed the 2 pieces together. Here's our fabric with the front side up. We have 2 seams here once again because I had to add on an extra seam. I had to add on an extra inch of fabric, but you will just have 1 seam. We're gonna iron the seam flat so we can sew a zipper onto it on the back.
So what I would do on this way is I'd probably do my pins
On the other side?
like so, because then you can pull the pin out as you get closer. You want to be able to get your fingers to be able to grab onto the pin. That might be a little close.
I ran the foot of the sewing machine along the edge of the zipper to keep a straight line. Now we just need to hand sew the end because we couldn't really get the sewing machine around the fat zipper part.
I can't remember the name of the stitch, but you basically loop back on itself.
Mm-hmm.
Go back here.
Go back in the previous hole.
Kind of. And then you go a little bit further each time.
Okay.
Special thanks to my mom for teaching me all these sewing skills.
So now I'm gonna flip this over and seam rip because underneath this seam here, not that seam stays. I'm gonna rip this seam and that'll reveal our zipper. Obviously we gotta leave a little bit on the edges because the zipper doesn't go to the edge, but also just a little bit to cover part of that zipper is left behind, and I'll seam rip in between like here and here. And that'll be our opening for the cushion. So the result here is this nice hidden zipper. Voila. Got some threads back there I need to take care of, but and it's nice because it's just tucked away in this seam with this clean edge.
It would have been better to buy a longer zipper because this opening is pretty small for our cushion.
Good morning, it's a new day. I got a little late last night, so I decided to finish this up this morning. What we're gonna do now is sew all of the corners together. So the corners of like the boxy part of the cushion cover. You're gonna wanna have your zipper partially opened at least, so that way you can turn this inside, well, right side out, because when you sew everything, you sew inside out. So we're gonna put the corners together. So here we have this little corner piece. Basically what you're gonna do is the two front sides, you're gonna have them go together. So you want the nice sides together, because like I said, we sew on the back, like so, and we're just gonna sew a seam there. You can put a pin if you want to kind of hold it, but it's such a short little 3-inch section that you might not need one. And we're just gonna go around and do that to all the corners. So now what I'm gonna do is just sew all of the edges together, the last 3 edges. Once again, sewing inside out, making sure the edges are all lined up. I'll probably use pins. You don't have to if you feel that you are more experienced than I. In which case, why are you watching this video? This is my first time doing this.
I should note that the method that we use in this video only has seam allowance for the zipper. This way the cushion is nice and tight.
Now we're just gonna turn it right side out, and hopefully we have a cushion cover that works. And voila, now we can put a cushion in it.
Hello from the future. Here's our cushion. It's a little wonky because of the errors that I made along the way, as you saw in the video, but it sits right here. We have this non-stick mat that we used in all of our drawers. We just use that to kind of keep the cushion there in place. There are a couple things that I would do differently, so here are my lessons learned. First, I would probably do a thicker cushion. This is just 3 inches. I think it would be better to have a 4-inch cushion. This is really compressed, and I think also part of that is we used a low density foam where we should have used something a little more high density. So I would do a high density foam and at least 4 inches for comfort. The second lesson learned is that the zipper should be longer. Like, you can cut a zipper. I didn't know this, so I just bought this zipper because the other zippers seemed too long from the store. But you can get a zipper and you can cut it, and you can just do a stitch across the back of it to hold the zipper so it doesn't unzip too far. That would make it really easy to put the cushion into the cover, whereas we wrestle it in there and it's like a whole ordeal. So as you saw in our video, because I had to add on the 1 inch of fabric because I forgot to allow that when I first cut the bottom piece, it really threw the whole thing off. So our cushion fits in here a little bit wonky. You can definitely avoid that by making sure that you cut your pieces properly. You allow an extra inch for the zipper on both the bottom piece and the top piece. But also, if you want to, you could add a seam allowance to all the other edges. It just depends on how tightly you want your fabric to fit along your cushion and how stretchy your fabric is. You definitely don't want your cushion to be loose, your cushion cover to be loose on your cushion. So this is just something you might have to experiment with. I am thinking about redoing this cushion because, like I said, I want a thicker cushion, something that looks a little bit nicer. So we'll just see. We'll post a video here if we end up taking on that project. Thank you so much for watching our video. Be sure to give it a like and a comment down below, and make sure you're subscribed to our channel. We have a few more van build videos coming out, but then we'll start sharing our travels in the van. So yeah, like and subscribe. Thank you.